Now we are.
There
I see
it is.
it. Good. Oh, taste and see that the Lord
Yes,
is good.
He is.
He is good.
And it's clear.
Right?
Yeah.
Professional.
Yeah.
All right. We're coming up. We're coming up. I couldn't change the privacy settings.
They're getting it now.
Hey, missed y'all. So glad to be on. My girls had to come and help me get on. Hi. Okay, now I can see Angela Minto. Oh, this is good. I can see it from here. Diane Collins, come on in. Me Familia. Eddie Kendall.
They got a fire down.
No, it's just
Fire
me.
down.
Yolanda Dawson. Hello, good family. We're ready to get moving. Thank you all for holding on. We've been on Periscope, and our Periscope family has been faithfully waiting. I don't know how long, and but I couldn't get the privacy settings unstuck with my new camera equipment that they're all laughing about. I'm a techie. I'm a techie. I confess. I'm a techie. So they're all laughing at me because they came over here and I have a new camera setting. But let me tell you how good this one is going to be, worth it all, because I don't have to stream with a phone and 2 iPads and 3 tripods and things dying and tripods falling over. One camera, and it streams all across the nation for us. Love you too, Dozier. Hello, Vanessa Bowling. So this is a good thing. We're in. All right. So we're on tonight to talk about acrimony. Acrimony. They're saying, love you, ladies.
Love you.
And I had to bribe some with dessert. One I had to give some money. One I almost had to wrestle to the ground to get her to help me out. I wonder. Talking about, oh, you always getting us into something. I told her, I said, don't worry, Gail. I mean, yeah, right, Gail. Don't worry, Gail. I'm going to take you with me. Hi, Joy Nolan. All right, so tonight we have with us Leah Shaw. Wave so they know who you are. And then we have Misha Wilson with us tonight. And then we have the Eldress, Audria Holly, known as Tangy. Hey, brother.
The one she had.
Bless you, Bishop Wright. I see you. And he said it the way y'all be laughing in church. He said, hey, Possum, without an A.
Possum.
That's how we laugh and we pronounce it in church. So let's make sure our hearts and minds are clear. Can y'all hear us fairly well? This is a new equipment for me, and they're telling me that we should have a microphone. So I just want to make sure that the sound is clear. Katrina gave you hearts. Hi, Periscope, how we doing? I love my Soul Detox family too. Integrity Force. That's a name to be reckoned with. Shamika, hello. Oh, now she giving Misha. That's Katrina. Now she giving Misha hearts and hands up in love. Yes. Hello, Bernard Howard. We see you. Yeah. Hello, Beverly. God bless you, Beverly Calendar. All right, Priscilla Harris. So I guess we're good. I guess they can hear us okay. If you can take a moment and go share this video, inbox a friend. Bishop J. Wright is what I call him. He said, hello, Misha. You remember him?
Yes.
Yes. Apostle Ursula's brother.
Brother,
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely. I almost be ready to call her prophet from the old time. I got to grow up with her.
Amen.
Beautiful. All right, there goes Minister Cherie. Hello, Shar. Beautiful. Welcome. So we're going to talk tonight about acrimony. Tag your friends. Tell them we're going to have that real talk. How many of y'all have seen the movie? Tell me if you've seen the movie. You can put up some hands, or you can say yes, no, whatever your answer is. Because I almost did not go and see the movie because I had heard from so many people that the movie wasn't good, that it was. So I was like, I'll wait for a DVD or I'll wait for it to come on HBO. But I'm so glad I didn't. I got an invitation to go, and I was smart, and I'm glad that I did go because it was well worth it. Now, I want to put these two things out there. I might have to admit, if I was not into the soul, if I was not studying and being trained in the soul, I might have looked at the movie, you agree, from the action standpoint or the maybe the regular movie critic standpoint, you know, as far as action and things making sense and all. But because I had studied the soul, this was like the epitome of a soul movie. And I have the DVD, Britt, come on over. And so I was so glad when I went to watch it, because I wish I had a notepad in there at the same time, because I couldn't record it with my phone, because that would be bootlegging. You know, they put up that piracy sign at the beginning of the movie, so I couldn't do nothing like that and be pulled out in handcuffs. And it won't spell my name, Suzanne, right, but it would say the church woman or the Christian or the pastor. They'll get all that right. So I had to be very careful going to see it. They said they went to see it. Good. So it was worth it. But there was a lot of information in this movie, and that's what we want to successfully bring about tonight. So, you know, the movie was named or called Acrimony, and it means resentment, to be rancor, to be just evil, to be evil without giving it away to the people who have not seen it yet. And the movie starts out with her giving us a story, her side of the story. How many times have you spoken to your friends or your girlfriends on the phone and you only hear her side of the story? And you almost want to go jack the brother up. What you doing to my friend? You know, this isn't right. How you doing it? Or you say nothing at all, but you have a personal beef with him. Because I don't like the way you're treating my girl. But at the beginning of the movie, it gives us a whole one-sided view until you get to the end. Midway through to the end, 3/4 away, do you realize this story's not adding up here? Then you begin to question yourself, thinking, well, maybe they just didn't put it in the movie, or maybe I missed a part, because all the things she's accusing him of, they didn't show it in the movie. So maybe it's one of those movies where you just got to know because they said it happened, you know? Until you watch the movie and you realize that Tyler Perry was giving us a good lesson and listening to one side of the story. So it starts out with Melinda telling her side of the story, and she starts out in court. And court refers her to counselors. So she goes to a counselor, and the counselor says a couple things to her that stood out to me from the beginning. So practitioner, come on, y'all. One thing was, they said, the judge said, we recommend anger management and that you need professional help. They didn't even say counseling. They didn't say a life coach or a personal coach.
They said she had a borderline personality disorder.
Well, not yet. The judge can't say that. Well, the judge didn't say it. Once she gets in counseling. When she's with the judge, he says, you're going to go to anger management, and then you're going to seek professional help. Which in some cases, people might say that they can't come to me because I'm not a professional as far as a PhD or MD in this area. But everything that was done with her and the counselor was very specific, very clear, clean cut and direct. It's just when you deal with professionals who have to follow a textbook versus an anointing and a Bible and some skilled training. I don't recommend anyone do this without training. You kind of see that they drag it on. Maybe they just want to keep running that insurance bill through every week. But you can pick up by a conversation, and also conversation that the counselor said that she picked up on things in Melinda, but she wasn't allowed really to mention it yet because they take their time in bringing out your diagnosis. So once he told her, the judge told her she had anger management issues and she needed to go for professional help. Then the scene changes, and now she's getting her professional help. She's in the counselor's office. And one of the things the counselor said to her is, do you feel entitled? And you will see at the end of the movie where the entitlement comes in. I did a teaching on entitlement. Y'all remember that? You remember anything about it? It was a while ago. I might not even remember too much at this point.
Something happened to you in your life that caused you to feel like people owe you things. The world owes you something.
And it usually comes from either being spoiled. Remember we talked about the Melendez brothers? Spoiled kids usually grow up thinking they're entitled to what everybody has. Or children who have been rejected, neglected. Because they felt, I suffered so much, everybody owes me things. They can steal things and not have a conscience about it. Because I'm entitled. So these were some of the things that she dealt with. And then the scene switches again, and it goes to her dorm room. And it takes us to how the story began. So cute, wasn't it? Y'all remember y'all love like that? Oh, so innocent and so cute. And something that she said right from the beginning told me things were going on. She said, in my own head, no, I'm sorry, I want to quote his part first. Robert said, I apologize to you that I'm working on a project. When I'm in my own head, I can't get out when I'm working on a project. To me, that's a red flag. Maybe a red / yellow flag. A yellow and a red crayon together. He's telling you something about himself right from the beginning. That I have tunnel vision. That maybe I'm a workaholic. When I get into a project, I get into my own head. So basically everything out here disappears. But of course it's young love. They're immature. They're in school. First time away from home probably. Setting the scene here. She doesn't think anything more about it. But he told her from the rip, when I'm working on a project, I'm in my own head. That's danger. Because one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is what happens when you marry a dreamer. Do you ever remember Ron Elmore's book that I took us all through before we started the church? And we talked about the 4 types of men and the women who enable them. I'm bringing that back out again because he was a dreamer. And I don't want to jump ahead yet. He had a dream. He stuck with his dream. You might even call him a visionary. And what he was letting her know in this statement, and he may not even have been aware of it, was when I get into a project, something about me just goes all into this project, and you may not be first, second, or third when I'm on a project. But being young, of course, they didn't hear. But that's a sign for us today who's able to sit from the outside of the movie and dissect it, knowing what we know now is that if you marry a dreamer, you have to be ready to not feel as though you're his number one. Because just like when you marry some pastors, when you're involved with people in leadership or people who own their own businesses, dreamers, visionaries, you will be fighting and struggling if you don't know from the beginning that they have a dream and a vision. You will be struggling from the beginning, not fighting with another man, not fighting with another woman, but fighting them for their attention, pulling them away from their vision and their dream. Isn't that the truth? Any of y'all ever date a dreamer? A visionary?
No.
They're stuck on it. And they live inside more than they live outside. Any questions from the audience yet? I want to move on. So that's what he tells her. What we know about her at this point already is that she's already struggling with homework. So you might think maybe she has a learning problem, something's not there. But because of her disorder that we're not going to bring up yet, because at this part in the movie, they're not even talking about it. There's already a sign that he gets into his project and she, here they're saying from the beginning, and she is already struggling with her homework. She's struggling with classwork. Did y'all remember? He took the time to study with her. She still failed. Now, the first time I watched the movie, I just blew that part over. I ignored it. But once you find out what the movie's about and what she was suffering with, you go back and see there were signs even in college that she was struggling with her work, that there was something going on in her mind and she couldn't focus on her work. Isn't that the truth? And then we go down and she makes a couple of statements. This is why we always, thank you, Wendy Epps, this is why we always push in counseling. Hopefully the ministers in the Apostles' House push this in counseling, that you've got to date for a while to get to know one another. You have to write down some of the things about your date. Think about it and process it, because you're thinking about whether they're going to like the outside of me. But we're all ignoring the inside of us and the inside of the opposite person. She said statements such as this: Mom is surprised that I'm even going to school. So what does that tell you about her esteem? If the first person in her life that's supposed to affirm who she is, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're going to blow college out of the water, you are anointed, as we would go in the Christian walk, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and I'm going to be there for you, and your sisters are going to. She didn't get that. She said, my mom is even surprised that I'm going to school. So the first woman that was given authority to speak in her life spoke that. Do you know what he's going to take on his hands? Because I'm going to give it away a little bit early now, is when you have someone who parents didn't speak in their life, they cling to the person who begins to speak in their life. And that's already going to warn you, now that we're older, that you are going to have a problem with her with codependency. Because she couldn't get close to her mom because her mom is surprised she even going to school, which was a nice way of telling us mom called her stupid in the house. Come on, y'all. She said to Robert. But in the house, I'm sure mama said it in an unspoken, familiar language of the household. So she suffered with low self-esteem. And I'm going to say at this point, rejection. Mom is rejecting the fact that you are not smart enough to go to college. So then she makes another statement after that, and she says, I'm not as smart as my sisters. Do you hear this? Now, dating nowadays, this should be a concern when you meet a guy that says, you know, my dad is even surprised that I'm in college because I'm not as smart as my brothers. We would take sympathy. Because we want to nurture him. We want to tell him that you're capable and you're able. But he's about to drop years and tons of weight on you that you might not be able to carry. You may not be able to minister to this man to get him through all of the years of the most important years and the most important people who has authority to speak in his life. Anything y'all want to say about that?
The sisters. I mean, I feel like she was rejected all the way around.
Absolutely.
Because even the sisters babied her. They treated her like she couldn't think for herself. They had to make all her decisions, or they felt like they had need to make her decision. And I'm sure inside there was a resentment, there was a rage, you know, that contributed to the other factors. But, you know, when people are trying to plan your life out for you and tell you what you should do.
And what you can't do.
And what you can't do. And you already feel a sense of rejection and low self-esteem, that has to be frustrating.
So imagine the fear of failure and the fear of success. Because if I fail, I'm going to be so disappointed, but that's all they expect from me anyway. But if I succeed, I don't know what that's like. No one expects me to succeed. So what am I going to do? And who's going to be there to help me if I succeed? So she had absolutely no dreams. And we're going to hear that in some of the quotes that I have down here. And he had a lot of independent experiences. He was already on his own. She still lived in a house, locked down, kind of protected, in the house with her mom and her sisters. His mom was dead. His dad was in prison. So he's out there doing whatever he wanted to do. He had no parents. She had a strong mom. That's right, Jay Wright, say it. He lived in an RV. She's raised in a house. Do you see the differences then? Just like even with me and my husband, we talk about when you're raised in a house, even raised from a, what you call them, the project? I mean, I don't really consider both part of the project, but, you know, it might be a project. But, you know, it's a big difference in people and how you're raised in a house from how you are in a rental. Let's put it like that. How you're raised to take care of things and appreciate things. The whole dynamics of a family unit in a house versus some, not all, family units who live in public housing or rental income. It's a big difference. And these are things that if her sisters really cared for her or she felt a relationship to go, she could have ran these things by. I'm not saying she would have listened, but she could have ran these things by them. And they could have said, you know, and they do later on in the movie, he's from a different side of the tracks, honey. This is going to be some hard work. If y'all want this thing, it can probably work. But this is going to be some hard work because your minds are different. He's already culturally attuned. He's into Nina Simone. She never even heard of Nina Simone, which tells you he's culturally advanced because she was protected in a house. Was y'all raised in a house protected? Or was y'all able to go out after the street lights was off and were you able to stay the night over a friend's house? What was y'all upbringing like?
I could stay the night over people's house, but I do believe that I was raised in a sheltered
that's the word I'm looking for. Environment. She was raised in a sheltered environment. Absolutely.
And I was allowed to. I mean, I was somewhat sheltered, but I was also allowed to
go out. So you felt like you had a little more experience of the world.
And you, man.
I really didn't want to stay in other people's house. I was a homebody. That was just me.
Still the same. It's hard to get her a pajama night. But that's the word for Melinda. Melinda was more sheltered. More sheltered, and he had way more experience out there. Right. Well, they didn't, Charity, I just want to respond to you right there. I didn't really expect them to give her too much advice on her marriage, but while she was dating him in college, there were a lot of red flags that came up, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's off, but it shows that they're going to have to be very mature in order for this relationship to work, and they're going to need some family advice. I was speaking with a couple the other day, and I said, you know, in the former days, in the older days, parents were involved in your marriage. I believe marriages lasted longer then because parents used to get involved. They'd have dinner together and they would check you. What's going on in your marriage? Don't talk to him like that. Don't treat her like that. Families were involved. Now the dynamics and the function of the family has basically been destroyed. If not just changed, that there's no family support. And now, culturally, we don't want to go for counseling anywhere. So who's there to tell you, look, there's some things here. I'm not saying if we were having a counseling session right now, I'm not saying that it's not going to work. I'm not saying that it can't work. But somebody needs to be in our life to make us aware that he's way more advanced in some areas than you. And you're going to have to catch up with him. And there's some statements that he's made already that we have to talk to. We have to talk about. So then this is the part where she's real angry. It goes back to the counselor's office. She begins to say how he took my head, how he took my heart, and he took my virginity. Now, did he take anything from her?
No.
He didn't take anything from her. She gave it to him. She took him, if I remember, up to the upper quarters in the RV while Nina Simone was playing. She took him. But you see, when you get entitled and you're mad and you're angry, and when you're acrimonious, you're rancored, you're resented, you're not able to function your emotions from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. You want to sit there and point the blame. And at this point, you're watching a movie, you're convinced. Because how many of y'all thought about, I've met a man like that before. I know what she, go girl. Any of y'all had that experience?
Yeah, most definitely.
Most definitely. When I watched it with my husband the second time, he said to me, a chick flick, about to be bashing a man. I said, just hold on. Just hold on. It's a fair movie. I want you to watch it. But everything she was saying, I think all of us was like, I know what she's saying. I'm so glad there's a movie out about this. Because how many men or what men stole my heart, stole my head, and stole my virginity? Until you keep sitting there, right? So she's in college, and her sisters are talking to her about her getting her inheritance. Mom died, and now y'all going out a lot. And the sister said to her, well, who pays for all of this when y'all go out? Letting her know that, I don't want to say yet, we don't know if he's a user or not at this point, but everything's looking real suspect with the dude, right? Because she inherited $350,000, and the whole movie, she's putting up all the money she spent. Now, we're not there yet, but in the movie, when she shows all the math work done for all the money she invested in him, all I could think about, but if you're married, the Bible says what?
You're one.
And love keeps no record of wrong. And this girl kept a record of, it was to the penny, 0.19 cent, 0.29 cent. The plumber caused this, the electrician caused this.
Like she had a
Absolutely.
ledger. You know how you put
a ledger.
Bills on a ledger?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're going to be in a marriage, you got to learn from the rip. If you really going to be in a marriage, that pot, everything goes in that pot together. Even if yours is $350,000 and his is $3, it's really one, right?
It is.
And this is things that need to be brought up again in marriage counseling, because we still get into marriage with this is mine and this is his,
right?
And you can't take all of that because that's my money. But throughout the whole movie, she kept track. But did he not boom that? Let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. From early on, if I was counseling this woman or this married couple, the first thing I would have pointed out, just from his words, you're marrying a dreamer. And you need to go study what it's like to be in a relationship with, friends with, or married to a dreamer. Because a dreamer is, I would relate him to someone maybe being commissioned by God. When God gives you something to do, y'all know I always take you back to the book of Eli. His one mission in his entire life was to get that one version of the King James Bible to the new world that was going to start out. Didn't matter whether he lived or not. That was his commission. He had to suffer loss and life and death. He had to suffer neglecting help to other people on the journey, because his one thing to do, and he wasn't letting anybody stop him, was to get that one version of the King James Bible to the new world. That's what it's like to be with a dreamer, a visionary. You got an entrepreneur, they'll be up all night, 3 nights, breaking night, all night long, finishing their vision, working on their dream. There's almost as if there's no personal fulfillment when you're in a relationship with a dreamer or a visionary. And I would have pointed this out to a girlfriend, whether she liked it or not. Y'all know how we get down. And in counseling, I do the same thing. I stay straightforward. I pointed out to them, he's obviously a dreamer. Do you know what it's like to be with a dreamer? Because she would have been all dreaming herself, all into him, not noticing, baby, once y'all get back into normal life, he's going back to what he was doing before you interrupted his plan. All right, now, let's go. This is what I noticed about him that I missed a lot growing up in my own relationships. He had vision. He had vision. Look how detailed his vision was. His little battery wasn't even functioning. This brother knew where he was going to live. He knew what floor he was going to live on. He knew he was going to have a boat. To the point she helped him. No, he named the boat, but she named the battery. This man had vision. And she came so alive when he would share his vision with her, but she had no vision of her own. Come on, let's talk about that for a minute.
That's deep.
It is deep. It's troublesome.
Because when you're in a relationship with a dreamer and you don't have your own dreams or purpose, if we talked about what we've been learning,
we'll make it one-on-one tonight.
Then you're all in. And I think the positive part about it is you bought in to his vision, thinking that you're going to reap the benefits if for the buy-in.
Entitlement. And that's what we have to watch out for. But nothing wrong with that.
Right. I mean, to a certain extent. So she bought in to his vision, but she didn't have vision for herself. And had she had vision for herself, she would have been able to transition a little bit better. I think she would have benefited him because she would have been able to undergird his vision. But she would have had vision for herself, and she wouldn't have lost herself in him.
There you go.
Which created more bitterness and more rage.
Because she made him her vision. So that was all she was focused on.
Bad. I say that over and over and over and over again. And I know a lot of the old time marriages may have worked out that way, but you find out there were a lot of miserable women. They don't regret the marriage. They don't regret the children. But a lot of women I talk to wish they had traveled more. They wish that they had written their book. They wish that they had started their sewing business. A lot of women that I talked to, even some senior leaders in this area that I had spoken with, and they were like, you know, my husband was my first, and I've had no life experience. This has been life for me. Him in church raising the kids. The kids are gone, and I'm just lost, but you're not going to leave. You know, you're not, we don't think like the world. We don't think like the ites. We're not just going to take off and leave the marriage because we were unfulfilled. We stay and work it out. But her problem was what y'all stated. She bought into his dreams, which we should, but she bought in too much. And when I say too much, my statement is she bought in so much, she never went back to check if she had one herself.
That's true.
And that was her mistake.
The balance would have been, you know, like, what we believe. That a woman should be balanced. Yes, you should buy into the vision of the man, your spouse. But you also have to have something going on the side because your investment is good too. You have to have an investment in the relationship and in yourself. Well,
there's two dynamics there that you just mentioned. One, do y'all remember what her only dream was? She only said one thing she ever wanted through the whole movie. To have 2 kids.
I didn't catch that.
All she wanted was to have 2 kids. Every time he would come back with more about the dream, she forgot about herself. All she would do is come back, I just want kids. And then she stated, I want 2 kids. And that's why when the other women were getting pregnant and all the stuff that went on, it was detrimental to her because her only dream was kids. Nothing wrong with that. But as you grow up, you kind of find out when you get around 40 or 50, or when they grow up and they're gone, this ain't my whole life. I've been a benefactor in raising up some children to go forth in the earth and to do great things, and you know that we can be proud of. But at the end of the day, what am I going to be proud of for me? You can live through your children's accomplishments, but a lot of people, not all, a lot of people who live through their children's accomplishments end up living through their children then, and they don't have their own life. So she lost herself because the only vision she had from the rip was to have kids. That was it. And if that's her only vision, that's fine. But the second part of what you said, Minister Leah, was the point that she was too into his vision. The only thing that could have worked better for that is if he gave her space in his vision.
Yeah.
Then it would have worked. I think they would have been more powerful if he would have given her some space in that vision. Do you remember when one of the videos he sent into the company, and we see it later at the end when that other woman, I don't want to say her name yet, she's looking at the video and she's standing behind him and she's happy with him. He included her in his vision. So she was excited. She felt a part of it. But as he stated earlier to her, I get in my own head when I'm on my projects. So unless you become a part of the project, you're really not going to be a part of me. And isn't that what actually happened?
Yeah.
He built his own time around her. So it's okay for a man or a woman to have vision. Absolutely. I believe there should be some piece of it that your spouse should have a part in. I don't care if they're doing the records or the bookkeeping. Yeah. Or if she's just to go and charge something, or if you want her to hand you the screwdriver and the wrench. As a married couple, we leave each other out when one of us finds purpose and the other one doesn't.
That's a good point.
And I tell that to couples when I counsel all the time. It doesn't matter. You look at people like Bishop Jakes.
Yes.
His wife does not want to be Bishop Jakes. She does not want a position like Bishop Jakes, but she serves in his ministry. And she found her place and her vision. What's the other woman name? Joyce Meyer. Her husband doesn't want to preach. He doesn't even want to talk. He doesn't even like when they put the spotlight on him for any words. He just puts his head down. But he's the best manager she said she could have ever had for her business. It is important when we're married to have our spouse be a part of our vision, no matter how big or how small it is. We have to watch exclusion. Anything y'all want to say about that?
Well, did she want to have was she even ever interested in anything that he was doing?
I think she was so sheltered. Yeah. She didn't have anything. She didn't have a music. She didn't like studies. I think she was waiting to grow up and get out of mama's house. Which we found out she never really left. But I don't think she was ever even challenged in her mind by what we got to see to even have any kind of dreams.
I think that when you're not included in the vision, then you feel minimized.
Absolutely. You do feel minimized. And you get jealous. Almost like they're seeing someone else.
And just the fact that she was the one with the money, that played a factor too, because I bought into your vision. Yeah. I'm the one with the money, and you're spending my money, but I don't have any part
in it.
And I don't think she knew enough to ask for a part in it. And he was so in his head that he didn't think, because I truly believe he loved her. Right. And he wanted things.
He loved her more than she loved him.
Right. Yeah. When his battery blew up, he wanted to give her everything
that she ahead now.
Okay. Yep. But I mean, he wanted.
You see her?
He wanted purpose for her. He just was so in his head that he couldn't relay that to her early on.
Minister LaTanya said, didn't her hope die when her mom passed away?
Yes.
I think her entire life died when her mom died. That's a good point. I don't think she had a life outside of her mom and her sisters, which wasn't much of a life.
She didn't know anything else.
Nothing.
Her mom, her sisters, and then now this man that she's paying for.
And he's all into her and attentive to her, helping her study. I mean, could you imagine how that just whisked her off her feet? Yeah. She had no dreams. And the Bible tells us that people perish without knowledge. Yeah. She had no knowledge of who she was. Yeah. And I say it all the time, and I know I ain't going to say nobody agrees with me. They just not going to follow my advice on it. Until you know who you are, you really shouldn't be in a committed relationship. That's true. You better off being single and run around yonder for a little while, because you don't even know who you are. You don't know your likes. You don't know your dislikes. So you kind of take on too much of their identity and then want to blame them later because you don't have anything. Yes. You don't have your own identity. You don't have your own purpose. Right. Spending that kind of money on a short-term, now I'll put it this way, listen to the statement. Spending that kind of money on a long-term date is desperate and codependent. I'm sorry, that's just way too much money. That was just a long-term date. They weren't even talking about anything. I wonder sometimes if he was pressured to give her the bubblegum ring, Right? He didn't even have money for a ring for her. So he gave her something, as a dreamer would, based on when I do get it. Now, the whole time in the movie, we're all agreeing, girl, this is too much. You out your mind. Your money is going down, and this guy, he's running game on you. He's playing you. He brings you a little symbolic ring now just to keep you around a little bit longer while he's working on his battery. That was a long-term date, and she's investing money in him. So she then hangs up the phone at one point, and she says, she calls him, and she bought him that new car. Convertible Mustang or Mustang, one of them kind of Mustangs. Bought him a car and can't find him. I remember that happened with my baby father. Oh man, I ain't buy the car. He got the car on himself, but I helped him get the tires, order rims for that car. I'm 17 years old and pregnant. He gets that car. Now we together every day. We walk everywhere we go. We hanging in the park 4 and 6 hours a day. If he's not at my house, I'm at his house. We had no family. We had nothing. It was just us. He got a car. Literally the day he started it and got it, he painted it. He was a painter. Painted it, put his own Vogues and rims on it. The car started and he ain't stopped till like 5 years later. He was gone. He was 17 years old. High school. Yep, absolutely. Thank you, James Wright, for commenting. He was a young guy. And you know what attention came with that car? We are in high school and he's the only one that got a car. So everybody wanted to get with him. He had Filipinos, white, black. He had so many women. He had less turn down than he did to take up because he just couldn't turn them down. It was so many. And now I'm pregnant. Now I'm in depression because I'm codependent because I have no family. So I make him my life. So I'm thinking the car gonna be our get up. We up from here. Then we get an apartment. One day we talk about marriage. And that car, matter of fact, I think he just went by the house right now. He's still driving around. I ain't seen him since he got that car on the road. Because that's what young guys do, and it really shows their boyhood. That's where he was. And she said, when she hung up that phone from trying to call him, remember he said he had to go, he was working on the battery? She said, I'm going to introduce him to the inner me. And then she referred to herself as that B. Because he know I'm that B. The inner me. Oh my God. I know he wished that there was a recording on that thing right there. Right there, she was in mentally over her head. That showed complete instability. Y'all dating in college. How many people, I wonder what statistic would show, actually make it out of college in a relationship?
I don't think they would.
Right.
I never went to college because of a relationship.
Yes, but a lot of people that I talk to, it's a few that make it through college. Nobody, most guys that I hear from, I believe they tell the women, this ain't a serious relationship. I'm in college right now. I've been under my parents for all this time. But she's so invested financially and with her soul in this man. She can't handle the fact that the only person that ever given me attention is now rejecting me too. She can't handle it. So now that evil comes up, that inner me that she refers to. She says, something about my crazy. Did y'all hear that?
Yes.
She called it my crazy. Something about my crazy. It's irrational and it doesn't quit. Did it quit?
No.
She drove that van, that Jeep, right into the RV until she did what with it?
Her detriment, though. To her detriment. Because nobody got hurt but her. She tipped the thing over, but now you have a life-changing something that happened to you because of what you did to hurt somebody else.
She hangs up the phone. She rushes over to the RV, finds another girl from school, car parked out there, drives it in there, cracks her ribs. Thank you, Shar. Cracks her ribs. And what did she do? Had to get an internal bleeding and had to get a hysterectomy. So now she can't even have kids. And remember what I said? Thank you. Her only vision, she believed her only purpose in life was to bring 2 kids into this world.
So she ended her own purpose.
Killed her own dream. Killed her own dream. Did y'all have dreams before, or was it just bringing kids in?
No, I had dreams.
I had dreams.
Yeah. So right there to me it's showing that there's commitment issues with him. Very unstable, and she is just off the hook. So she ends up with a full hysterectomy, and her sisters say something to her room that's very important. The sister said to her, "You've been doing this since a little girl." I missed that the first time I watched the movie. they said to her, this rage, this anger that you have, you got to get control over this thing, because they're mad at him in the hospital for what happened. But once everybody calms down, and they're talking to her in her room right before he comes to visit her. Ain't that the way it was? And they're telling her, you've been like this since a little girl. So now we're getting some kind of history to know something's not right. Something's not right with this story here. And then Melinda makes a big statement in her mind right there as Richard's coming up the stairs to talk to her. She says, I just realized that my pain wasn't just physical. I almost dropped the pen that I didn't have in my hand in the movie theater on that one. Because a lot of us think that our pain is physical, but our pain first started mentally. And then mental pain that's not processed ends up becoming physical pain, because she got involved in a relationship that she wasn't ready for. Now she's feeling physical pain, crashed this Jeep into his RV, and now the pain that she really felt on the inside all her life, she's now feeling in her physical body. That was deep revelation right there. I don't know how people could have watched this movie and got nothing out of it. This movie was so deep for me. As a soul detox movie, I sat there the first 20 minutes like, jaw down, almost like Misha, eyes deer in the headlight. Like, what is this? And I almost felt the tears coming down, because parts of her life I could relate to. That pure, innocent love, that new love. When you didn't really fit in with your family, and you meet this guy, and you make, you had a long-term relationship as a young girl. You make them your whole life. They don't have a clue. He has a vision for a house, what floor, a boat, and the battery's gonna make it. And she says, I just want kids. I wonder if he even heard that's all she ever wanted.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. The first time I watched it like a Tyler Perry movie.
Right.
The angry black woman.
Yes.
That's the way I watched it. Come on. And then, when I talked to you, I said, okay, I'm going to have to watch it again. And that's when I took note.
Right. And paid attention.
Because you can't, the critics said this was the worst movie ever for Taraji Henson. But it was actually a good movie.
Oh my God. I bought it. And I didn't just buy it so I could study it. I bought it because when I start training coaches, this is going to be a part of their thesis per se. They're going to have to write an essay on this right here, what they see, what's the dynamics of it. Because this shows so many different sides of a person. We've already dealt with what? Codependency, instability, sheltered life versus dating someone who's culturally attuned. She's having all this internal conversations in her mind, and she's dating a dreamer. A non-dreamer. Now, people might say that's not fair. She had some dreams. I'm sure she did, but he was after his dream. To the point that everything that he said he was going to have, when he accomplished it, he did everything he said. What a different person.
He was
nothing changed because you're not in my life. The dream doesn't change, and that's hard for people to grasp. Like she kept saying, "This was for us." He was like, "No, that was the dream. You're either in my dream, baby, or you're not." Absolutely, Shar. You're in the dream or you're not, because this is the dream. There's going to be 3 diamonds in that ring, right? The boat's going to be named Gail after his mother.
I think it was his mother.
His mother, and she named the battery Gale Force Winds. The floor he wanted to live on. He had a dream. He never said too much, well, what part of this do you want? This is what I'm going to have, so you're going to be living in my dream. So he sold her the dream. Now that's real. But what was the thing to secure her in it?
She didn't have any security in it.
Nope.
She didn't.
All right, come on, let's go on. Then he loses his student loan. I'm about done with this brother now.
Yes.
Because the numbers on the screen is dropping. More and more money. Y'all don't have it like that. Y'all need to live off $350K for probably 30 years until you make it. Y'all can't spend $1,000 a year. You can't spend $350K in 1 year. So what happens? She goes ahead and takes care of his last 2 final semesters. And there goes the numbers on the screen again. More money going down. And then he proposes to her with no diamond. It's all right. We've done some things for love. Proposes to her with no diamond, but it was symbolic of a vision. And he said it would be 3 diamonds in that ring. This brother's dream happened. Now, am I ready to go here yet? let me say this line first and then we'll go there. They married like many people, though, with more questions than answers. Yes. Did you hear her mind about getting married? Yeah. Her sisters weren't there. Mm-hmm. You know, people are like, bump your family, you don't need them there. You may not need them there, but it makes a difference when the people you believe in or the only people you feel you have are not there supporting you. Right. Is it a sign that maybe we could wait? You know, do we want to, what do we got to lose? Okay, I'm going to listen to my sisters. You're going to dog me up listening to my sisters. Mm-hmm. But is it really going to cost us anything to wait? Or you're going to feel like you can't trust me because I'm following everything my sisters say? Weddings are a heavy moment. Mm-hmm. And if things don't fall pretty close to place with the people who are stable in your life, it's a hard thing to handle. Especially if people don't feel they can tell you the truth.
That's true.
And she had no support. Well, her best friend. Her best friend was her best friend. Yes, right. Was she not? Yeah. She held her down. So he proposes with a fake diamond ring. They get married like many. She's walking down the aisles talking about she has more questions than answers. Time goes by and all we see is money, money, money. She still has no dream, no other vision yet. And I'm sitting there saying, girl, you could have went to school for an accountant and became an accountant just to keep up with your own $350,000. You could have did budgets and audit trails and all kind of spreadsheets on it because she's losing all her money. Over what? Buying into a dream. But didn't put herself in the dream at all. Like she just wanted to be a benefactor. Which, go.
I think she could have been a benefactor had she waited on the investment. She didn't wait for her return. She just thought she gave everything away and wasn't waiting for.
Now you know how many people I talk to that are in marriages that really are over, but they stay in it together because of that very reason. They're afraid if they cut out too soon, is somebody else going to reap my blessing? Isn't that the truth? Yeah. How many bad relationships? It wasn't even probably no blessing to stay in it. Right. But I stayed in it anyway thinking, you know, the stuff I taught him, the things I trained him in. Y'all know some of the things she named in that movie. And I'm gonna tag out on him and leave him and let some other woman sit in the passenger seat. I trained him how to do this. Remember her shower move? And she said, I know Nina Simone is somewhere in the background. Because she trained this young man who became a man of most of his life things, and she stepped out too soon where another woman jumped right in everything that she tarried for. Ooh, come on, y'all. Have y'all felt like that? Have y'all stayed in relationships longer than maybe you should have?
I don't know.
Come on.
Because, you know, the situation is different.
Okay.
But I think when you marry somebody and Crystal, you don't know the person, you don't know who you're marrying. Right. Then you do feel some type of entitlement if you're giving like she gave. Yeah. And you do have a sense of, I'm going to stay until I reap the benefit. Yes. But the key is, I think, to involve yourself. Yes, you because have to. Then you feel like, you know, you're part of the investment. But, can I go this way? Yeah. When she chose, because she made an active decision to leave the relationship, right? Because she let her anger and her bitterness cloud the reality of the situation and her sister's voices because of the she had so many factors against her, and she didn't have anybody. I hope
you watch it, Ann.
She didn't have anybody to reinforce the positive things and help her see. That's why it's so important to have an unbiased person counseling you. Because your friends are going to be on your side. Because
you know what, one of the things I would have said, knowing how long he's been working on this, I would have picked up on the fact that she's with a dreamer. She's with a visionary. He going to make this happen or he going to die. Because if you even listen to Tyler Perry's story, he was homeless before he got what he got. Right. And how many people will come into his life, or people who are struggling actors or playwriters will write him and feel like he need to make them have a come up because they're entitled to what he went through. He was homeless. Oprah went through crazy stuff. There's a few others out there I can't recall right now that went through a lot to get where they at. And I want to be something, but I wonder sometimes, do I have that in me? Am I willing to be homeless for the dream I have? I don't know that I am. And that's an honest statement. These people are visionaries. Well, I'm a visionary. They're a dreamer. So if they have to sleep in the car, remember the movie with Will Smith and his son? And that man had the first x-ray machine or a PET scan or something? The first light for the x-ray machine, remember? He slept in the bathroom in a building with his son on the streets with his son, subway with his son. Those are dreamers. And if you're with a dreamer, you have to know. I would have picked up on his conversation that he was a dreamer. And again, I would have brought back to her. You do know there's two choices you have. We always have choices. We talked about that. Don't ever say, well, I don't have a choice but to serve God. We all have choices. And the minimum amount of choices is always two. Always two choices in every single thing that you run across with in life. Always. And she had two choices. One, to stay in that and hope for the best. Or two, if you're going to leave it, you have to understand that if this thing pops off, you're going to have to be good with the decision you made today.
Exactly.
And nobody weighed out life before her.
No. That's why it's important now in the black community or the minority community that we stop looking at mental illness the way we look at it. We need counselors.
Absolutely.
We need people that are unbiased to help us see what is the reality of a situation.
I agree.
So that we won't cloud it with our mental illness.
I agree. So according to the movie, both of them had degrees. I couldn't tell if she finished or not. She didn't finish. I didn't think she did the second time.
It don't really
doesn't look like it because she paid for his loan to finish. But in the movie, from what I was hoping, they both had degrees, but neither of them had jobs. They're both home all day living off of $350,000. Y'all know what that's like when you got a house to take care of. Her best friend, somebody said was actually her cousin, her best friend had to get her a job at the job she worked at. That's a sad state to be in. And according to the movie, he wasn't out drinking. He was home, y'all. He wasn't out
making it bad.
But he also wasn't out working.
No.
Okay. Got to keep that in mind. Let's measure the scales here. He wasn't out with other women, but he also was checked out emotionally, neglecting her.
Yes.
Remember, before she had the job, he's in the house working, she's upstairs in the bed, and she's depressed. She is completely overwhelmed and taken over emotionally now. She can't even function because she's codependent. And now he's got this other woman, you want to say, that's getting all his time and attention. He's talking to this thing. He's interacting with this mechanical device, and she's upstairs emotionally neglected. Was not ready for a wife. And she wasn't ready for a dreamer. Because if she had to read a magazine, she would have been better off sitting down there next to him than being, But again, too, I know for visionaries, it's hard sometimes to work with people right there under you. Because they aggravate you. And they, so what? I've been typing this thing for 20 times. I'm going to get it right on the 21st time. It's 99 times you ain't get it right. I'm not going to bed until I get this thing. And I've watched the sun come up. Just this in August, I was up 3 days straight trying to get this app situation worked out, and he's having a fit. Wait a minute, what's going on here? I'm like, I'm about to take him right there. Night one, he's getting up for work at 4:30, and I'm still in my office working. He's like, this ain't gonna keep working, Suzanne. I know I'm sorry, make it up to you today. I go to sleep for a couple hours. He come home. We eat dinner together, right back in there. I'm just doing something. I'm coming right back in there, watch a movie with you. I never go back in there, watch a movie with him. He goes to bed for work like 9 o'clock because he got to get up at 4:30. Finally, I hear his alarm going off. I run upstairs and I get into bed and act like I was sleeping. Because if he found out that I got whiteout in my hand, a ruler behind my ear, and a pencil, he find out I'm burning night again, 2 nights. 3 nights I stayed up straight. I had to get this situation with my app fixed. That's visionaries. Our dream keeps us alive and keeps us awake. We cannot sleep. And you have to know who you're with. Because and he'll even tell you, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I knew she was preaching, and I know she loved God. I knew she would be traveling. But she burns the midnight oil for days. And I won't even eat. You have to know that because their pressure can cancel your vision, and visionaries without a vision is depressed people. We have to have vision. So these are the things that have to be talked about when you're getting together. So she took the burden on herself of their financial dilemma, and that right there was a great revelation for codependency. She took the complete burden on herself because he said, well, I'll go out and get a job. So she was like this, and he was like, but then I don't know how much time I have on a battery. So he put a burden right back on her. She grabbed the burden, and now she's out working 2 jobs, cleaning a building at night. And even B, when we was watching the movie, he said to me, wow, Like, that was one heck of a movie. Just gotta put some power on here. So then, he blows the house electricity out, and then he goes back to school, I guess, or he finally finished school, and then he completes his degree. But she still didn't have any vision. And the Bible talks about people without it. They're hopeless. There's nothing going on for them. So now he's standing outside, what is it, Prescott Howard?
Yes.
Howard. Prescott Howard.
Prescott Howard.
Yeah. And now he knew. Now mind y'all, how many times have he stood outside of that building?
A lot.
For years, right?
Yeah.
And they put a restraining order on him, served him notice that he couldn't even send mail there anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So remember he said to the woman, he said, I know that you're the new VP now. So he followed that company.
Yeah.
He knew who was hired, who retired, who was fired. So did he not know his ex-girlfriend was working there? The girl he got caught in the RV with. Is that not a coincidence? That the girl who almost died with him from the other one is the one who ended up getting the high position in the company he needed a break in. That was deep, right?
Yeah, it was deep.
So, but he knew she worked there. I didn't catch that the first time around.
I didn't know that he knew she worked
Because
there.
he studied everything that company did. Remember the first, what was she, like a Asian woman? She was going in the company, and he was like, you're the new CEO of the company. He followed them. So he knew she worked there. So he goes to meet the ex-girl who worked there. And then he goes and has coffee with her, so on and so forth. And then she gets him a connection there in the building. And, see, somebody said he said it. And this was a question that I had. This girl, did y'all see when she was watching his promotional videos, how she was smiling? I thought like she had so much heart for him the first time I saw it. You know, the bleeding heart factor kicked in. And I'm like, oh, she's got so much heart for him. Maybe she's a visionary and a dreamer herself that she could see his passion and she wanted to get it. But the second time I watched it from a different point of view. I watched it as if, was she in love with how he was in love with Melinda? Because when Melinda was standing behind his back and she's smiling at them, you know there's women who can be in love with your man just by the way he's in love with you.
Wow.
That's why I tell folks, y'all need to listen in right now. Stop posting on Facebook every time your boo buy you something. You wonder why women want him. You wonder why women are sending him conversations or wearing certain clothes, especially if you pastor in churches, because you keep putting every good thing he gets you on Facebook, and now they want your man. So don't be shocked and surprised when people are acting. You think he don't look that good. You don't think he that much at all anymore, because familiarity breeds contempt. So you don't think he's all that anymore. But you posting trips and shoes and cars and money and hairstyles and dinner or romance, whatever you posting, and you wonder why he got a woman problem. Didn't the old women used to say, don't tell your women two things, how much money you got and how you have sex with your man. They knew something back then. But nowadays with social media, everybody's posting everything their significant other does plus, and you are making the stock on your, he might be short to you. He might be round to you. He might be boring to you. But the way you got him looking on Facebook with all the things he does, you're making his stock go up. And if so, just be ready for the competition when it comes. Because they're going to come. Biblically speaking, we already know they're out there. But you blowing him up on Facebook, you think you bragging. Or you trying to get somebody else's attention to get jealous, not knowing that you're causing certain bees to begin to swarm him because you're showing that he buys good gifts.
All eyes on you.
And this woman, when I saw the second movie, I think she fell in love with the way he was in love with her, because he was in love with her. He was in love with her. Y'all good right there?
Yeah.
So she watched all the videos. She's smiling. I questioned whether she was a dreamer or not. Was her smiles really heartfelt? Then her sister finds the wallet when he had the business meeting with the ex-friend. I think her name was Diana. He had the meeting with the ex-girlfriend. Did she drop the wallet on purpose? I'm still trying to figure that out.
I was trying to figure that out too.
Did she drop the wallet on 18 women to
That's
one?
how women do.
That's how they do. Because I've done it a couple times. I left my lipstick in the car. But I figured out he was a player and they all left stuff in the car too. But we all just found out about each other. And nobody did nothing about it. Absolutely insanity. But did you notice she said to him, and I'm sorry about the wallet most of all. Yeah. Is she fighting with you? Well, you left the wallet in his car. He's already neglecting his first responsibility. And now you're wondering. You see him out here like a crazy madman for his dream. So now the sisters found more stuff to already go at him about because of the wallet. So he takes a job with the brother's family.
Yeah, the brothers-in-law.
More henpecking.
Yeah.
They was henpecked and then he was starting to get, that's one thing he wasn't tolerating though, right?
No.
He wasn't taking that henpecking. He was not taking, but those other husbands, they was henpecked, if you will. He lost it because the man offered him some money, but he offered him what, like $800,000 or $500,000? Yeah. And taking over all rights to it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth, he knew it was worth.
Was it worth it when y'all had taken it?
No. Not if I was him. The visionary?
Yeah.
No.
And you said he's the dreamer.
Yeah.
So
he
knew what it was worth. So he dreamed about it.
Look what
like
he
knew where he wanted to live and everything.
Yep.
He knew what he was gonna make.
So if he would have accepted that, all the rest of his dream would have had to gone down the drain. Because you're right. He kept in mind. He kept the vision. He pronounced that vision very often at what he wanted. Where people knew what he wanted.
And he spoke the things that weren't as though they were. Yeah. And he believed that they were going to manifest.
Yeah. He wanted to keep the rights because he knew the word. Yeah. He was sacrificing everything for this. And did you hear one part where you knew he was a good man? He even said, once I get her the house, pay off the house, we're going to have what, a couple $100,000 left. That's not even going to pay back the $349,000, $350,000 that we blew. He still had her in mind, even though it didn't look like he did. So he takes a job with the family, loses the family contract to go and meet with Prescott, whoever he is, and she goes physical on him now, which she did from the beginning. And we need to make a statement about that because some people think physical fighting. I was raised in a physical house. We fought. So when I got into a relationship, my relationship was physical. I hit everybody. Most of the men didn't hit me. I did all the hitting. That's how I was raised. We fought. That's not normal. For me, that was normal. Tangie grew up with me. We fought. We fought guys. We fought each other. It got to the point we fought. So we started fighting our parents. We were fighters. Everything was worked out on the front of the lawn. Okay?
Do you think that the sisters handled their husbands physically? Or do you think they just played mind games with their husbands? No, they were henpecked. It was mind game. She was physical. Remember, they said her rage. Yeah, because of that inner me.
Yes, absolutely.
So she was probably the physical one.
Yeah, they weren't physical.
I thought it was like the nagging wife, like you talk about in the Bible.
Come on.
They always, like you said, henpecking their husband.
Absolutely.
And the men just said, okay, well, let's do it because we don't want to hear all of that.
The men acted like they were checked out. But she rips them at the end and began to tell their whole story. So you saw what was going on with them. It was passive-aggressive behavior because they sat there and acted as though they tolerated it. But on the back end, she accused one of them of having a male-to-male relationship while he's married to a female. And the other one, she basically said had a baby 2 blocks over. So you could tell that was passive-aggressive. Their marriage was already crumbled. But they stayed in it. But to be in a relationship with physical activity is really not normal. And I actually had a guy tell me, this is not normal, as I clocked him upside the head. I was like, to me, what you mean it's not normal? You doing wrong, I'm about to hit you. But it's really how we were raised. We were physical people. And it's crazy because when you don't know better, you really think that's, remember I talked about in Soul Detox 2017, how secondhand smoke, that you're raised in something and it becomes normal to you. It was normal to me. Where guys would look at me like, I don't want to leave you. You're a good woman, but you're not going to keep putting your hands on me. She heard, they would go to her. Talk to your friend. I really like her. This wife material, but she got to keep her hands to herself. But I was raised that way. So to me, it was normal until I got in Christ and got arrested a couple times and found out you go to jail for this. Okay? This is not normal behavior. behavior.
You're going to jail.
You're going to jail. It was a sign for him in the beginning
Yeah.
that this woman was physical. And y'all might need to look at, because that rage wasn't because he was with another girl.
Right.
Something deeper had been. It was a monster in there for a really, really long time. So I just want to make that statement while we're on here tonight. If you're physical, or if you're in a relationship where he or she may be physical, it is not normal. I know it may be normal to you, but maybe like me, you were raised in someone else's secondhand smoke. Physical abuse is never acceptable, whether you are the perpetrator or you are the recipient of it. And you need to get someone to talk to about it, find out where it's coming from. If it's not family, a learned behavior in the family, then you need to find out why you're doing it. Where is this rage coming from? Because not only can you get arrested, it is very unhealthy for you to live that way, and for someone who loves you to be at the hands of you. Most people who are abusers always meet people who are not physical. It's something about that opposite attraction. Yeah, a lot of women are physical. All right, almost done. Again, I wonder, was the wallet left on purpose? And Robert even taught a great lesson in emotional equality, because he basically said to her, we have to put all that personal aside. And I love this statement. I think her name was Diana. She was something else, right? You got to give her credit now. That's why you got to be careful. That other woman might be 10 times better. She said to him, when you get in that room, because he had just had a fight with his wife. Remember, they was fighting over the garbage cans, the family pulled up, and he's going to the meeting now to meet with his visionary key holder of his vision, and she has to basically yoke him up a little bit. And she said to him, you got to put all that personal stuff to the side, and when you walk in that room, you got to own it. That's EQ right there. That's emotional intelligence all the way. When you are in a position, you have to minister, you have to preach, you're pastoring over people, you're running your own company. You have a meeting with the people who actually have the door to the key that you've been holding all your life for your vision, and you're going to lose it because you can't get your emotions together because you just had a physical fight. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes, but you know what I thought of?
Own it.
Remember Tina Turner and Ike?
Yeah.
And What's Love Got to Do with It? They had that fight in the car, and she was beat up. And she ran to the other hotel and she said, my name is Tina Turner. I don't have no money, but I need a room. And she, her nose was bloody, her clothes was ripped, but she still went in there. Tina Turner. My name speaks for me. I need a room. I'll pay y'all back.
It wasn't even embarrassed to say who she was. But you see how they have learned in the professional arena to put the emotions aside? And oftentimes we think it's keeping it real by showing people how you feel. And that's really the thing that's your anchor. It's sinking you by reflecting your emotion all over the place. She told him, look, you're going to have to work out your marriage after. Right now, you've got an opportunity to meet with somebody you've been trying to meet for maybe 20 years. You've got to put all that personal stuff to the side. You got to own that room when you get in there. And then Melinda could never ever mentor him the way Diana did. Melinda was suffering from lack of emotional attention, affection from him, and all she could think about was her. All she could think about is what I'm not getting. Rightfully so. But it was to the point she could never mentor Richard with what he needed if he ever was going to meet Prescott without Diana involved.
She couldn't be his intercessor.
No, she couldn't even be an intercessor. My next word was she couldn't even minister to him. You're exactly right. She could never do that for him. And Melinda made a point when he was taking a bath. Diana made a point when Richard was at her house taking a bath. She said to him, sometimes you got to understand, some people are not there to go with you to the end of your dream. And I was like, that little seductive Delilah. How dare she now put in his head, leave your wife, leave your wife. But the words was true.
Well, she was manipulating him. But what she was saying was true. I think she was manipulating him. She ended up with the reward of the labor of Melinda, because Melinda couldn't get her emotions together. She didn't have counseling. She needed counseling. She is so detox.
And Melinda was definitely at this point, I would have been able to pick up definitely on this point that she was bipolar.
Yeah.
And I always explain to y'all, bipolars are those high highs and those low lows. She's over his back in one video, smiling, happy to be a part of his vision. The next one, she's in the bed, complaining about how much attention, infection. Highs, and low. Those are two extremes to try to pull somebody up in a life coach session. She definitely was bipolar. She mentions while sitting in the house with siblings that she gets this from her daddy. Did you hear her say that?
No, I didn't.
She talked about her rage and her emotions. She gets from her daddy. She said, "I'd burn a house down even with me in it."
Woo! That was powerful.
That was powerful. Now that's some rage. When Richard comes back in, she says it's over. And then he keeps trying to talk to her. And how about when she gets in his face? And she says, "You know I can be the devil."
Yes. With the cigarette.
Yes. I've heard a couple men say they were literally frightened at that part to hear a woman say that. I said, really? Because, man, that other side of that sweet, gentle, weaker vessel, come on, somebody. And then all the numbers begin to go. The love disappears, and we know that love counts no wrong. He's in a shelter. He's washing dishes in the restaurant that she's out having dinner with another man. He's still not with another woman. He's in the shelter. He could have called up Diana. He stayed in the shelter with bed bugs. They stole his cell phone. She's already with another man. Peep it now. And then,
She was the ex, wasn't she?
yeah, I think that guy was the ex. Yep. She didn't call. Oh, and then she said she out with another man in the restaurant, and she makes a statement. He didn't even call me when I lost my mother's house. First of all, his cell phone was stolen because he living in a shelter because you out with another boo already. But it was really because his phone was stolen, not because he didn't care. He just had a bad way of showing. He never filled in the blanks of all the questions that she had. So now they're in the divorce room, and he says to her, "Mel, are you sure?" Didn't he? And then he says, "Are you sure you want to do this? I love you." And she's sitting there with her friends and her mediator. And he was also at that point at the mercy of her disorder, not even knowing it. She had totally checked into full bipolar activity. Then the word comes up, sunder, which means split, separate, divide. So now she's divorcing him. And then Richard calls Diana, the ex. She asked about Melinda. First thing she did. And did she put you out? He still wouldn't put Melinda down.
No.
He would say, "Yeah, she put me out, got me living in a shelter with these bed bugs. They stole my phone. This woman don't care." He said nothing about her.
And that's what some women don't see. They want a supportive, protective, a protector in their relationship. And they don't see that you have support and protection all along. It's just not the way that you expected it to come.
Come on.
Your expectation is a little different than what the reality of the situation is. And if you step back, you can see that you had support and protection all the time, the whole relationship. It's just people do those things in different ways, so you have to be awake to the fact that sometimes when you ask for something, you're gonna get it, but not the way that you expect it.
I got you.
Let me just shout out Devin and Tetrick, Uncommunicated Expectations.
Oh, yes, there's sermon. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Uncommunicated Expectations on the Apostles House YouTube page. There's a married couple that taught this in our church. It's worth the viewing time. And I really liked how Diana ministered to him. And she said to him, sometimes people can't go to the next level with you. And she says, "You're going to make it." She told him, "You're going to make it." And then she said, "I hate to see you so broken." Like he was broken. Melinda, bipolar activity took that man out. There was nothing left to him.
He loved her though.
Because as a matter of fact, he threw the battery away, remember? And he had to come back home and meet the trash man and get it out the trash.
For the meeting.
Yup. And this was really because this woman took him where he needed to go. The whole time Melinda isn't happy, but couldn't find her happiness within the relationship either. She had no personal happiness at all. Go ahead, please.
Because you said she couldn't go with him because she couldn't encourage him because she never had that in her own life. So how can you do that for somebody else? I can encourage you as nobody else ever encouraged me because I don't know what it feels like. So I don't know how to speak into your life.
You're right.
You know, so that's why the other lady was able to go
say those words.
Yeah, say those words and give him life. And
very good point. That's why real girlfriends are important, because real girlfriends, we learn from each other. You know, her sisters wasn't encouraging themselves, same household. They didn't have it. And then, and she said to him when he came back to the house, we are never getting back together. Never. I was like, oh, that's some heavy words, because you just never know, you know? And then the battery, it hit. Oh no, when he came to the job, she came out in the hallway to him. We are never getting back together. Like, I don't even know why you're here. He said, my battery, it hit. Oh my God, I felt so bad for her.
But did you see her facial expression? Like, it turned. Like
she was never expecting it.
Like, really? Your battery hit? But she was still nasty.
Well, but she thought she still had the upper hand. She didn't think that this was ever going to happen. She gave up on his dream, but he didn't. And he said to her, I'm sorry, as he handed her the check. I'm sorry the dream took too long to come through. I was about to start going with the wind, crying in tears. Because that was the whole problem. The dream took too long to come through.
And she was looking around. You saw her looking around like, who else is hearing this? That this dude's battery hit. Oh my God.
And then he gives her a check for how much money? Not the $350,000.
Was it $3 million?
It was like $3 million or more.
And
if anybody knows, puts it up for us.
And he bought the house back for you.
Bought the house back. Gave her a crazy amount of money. Bernard, when we was watching it, he was like, that's a good dude. That's a good dude. Because I might have been so mad at her for leaving me, having me go live in a shelter. $10 million. $10 million he gave her. Thank you. Going to live in a shelter, bed bugs, phone stolen. I got to go let this other chick see me in my lowest point when only my wife should see me in my lowest point. He said, that's a good dude. He gave her more than she lost, almost double of it. And then we go to the part where it says, bewail, to express great regret, disappointment, and bitterness. This is so detox, 100%, y'all. Thank you, Crystal. And then what about the meddling sisters? She said, my sisters got in my head. Then she said, I know Diana's using what I taught him. Every woman's biggest fear, from what I've learned this far, when stuck or contemplating leaving a man, always worry about, will he behave? Will he get it right? Will he stop being a player? Will he finally get a job? Will his dream finally take off when I cut him off?
And probably that's when it's going to happen, when you cut him off.
Well, it goes back to what Diana said. Some people can't go with you to the next level. She was like stability in his life, but she could not minister to him, intercede for him. She couldn't encourage him.
Because she didn't have any vision. While he was getting strengthened by everything that he was doing, she wasn't. She was depleted. Financially, emotionally, she was depleted. She didn't have anything to give.
Right. And you have to understand, right, from her perspective, how long-suffering that really was. Like, she needed a dose of the Holy Ghost.
She did.
Every 6 months. Because that was draining. Because remember, when God gives somebody a vision, he don't give it to the other people. So we don't have that same excitement and motivation that you have. And you draining my money. I'm not getting sex. I'm not getting hugs. You're not spending no time with me. You're no longer affirming me. The college days are over. And electricity is out. We done lost the house. And where were they living? In their sister's house or something? Him and her?
I think she was.
And then, that's when they split. Yep, and that's when she went.
She was living with you. So now you back in the environment that you started out in.
And then she takes him to court, threatens that she wants half of the earnings instead of just what he gave her, which we all know was more than fair.
And the judge laughed at her.
He's like, this, we've never seen this in the history of our court time. And she says, I love this point Diana made. I'm going to get me a t-shirt made with this one on it. You cannot negotiate with crazy. Because remember, she came up to his apartment with her lingerie on, her trench coat. And he said, and he said, I'm just going to give her some more money. They were getting threatened. Remember, she was on the girl Instagram page. What she called, what's her Instagram name? Killer, hater, or something. She had a crazy Instagram name. And she was harassing Diana, and Diana told him, I didn't want to tell you, but I've been harassed by her all this time. Richard said, I'm just going to give her more money and maybe she'll go away. Still with his nice heart.
Wow.
And Diana said, look, I've been trained in this stuff right here. Right. And I'm going to let you know, Richard, you cannot negotiate with crazy. So she made the threats, and now she's back at the counselor scene again. And the counselor said to her, have you ever looked at things differently? Have you ever thought maybe he wasn't deceitful? And that's when the lights came on in my head when I first saw it. Yeah. So he wasn't deceitful. We didn't miss it. It wasn't like a crazy curve in the movie. He wasn't deceitful. Right. And the girl got mad at the counselor. Basically saying, how you going to tell me you wasn't there? Right. But the counselor said, have you even taken a moment to turn it around and think, maybe he really was doing things that you just can't believe he really was doing. Mm-hmm. That he wasn't being deceitful. Mm-hmm. Maybe he really was being honest with you. And the woman said to her, basically, you have a borderline personality disorder. Mm-hmm. And then the word comes up, inexorable, unforgiving, and relentless. Mm-hmm. And that's when high gear kicked in for her. Mm-hmm. That movie was so detox, 101 and 102. Mm-hmm. So any parts about the movie y'all want to lift up? I wanted to hit the notes that I had, but I didn't want to keep people on here for too long. But I really wanted to give y'all some time. Robert really loved Melinda. It was all in her mind. Mm-hmm. Replay, absolutely. It was all in her mind. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the movie from the beginning and change it, you would think it's another Tyler Perry movie, right. The Mad Black Woman, right. Or another woman's movie hating on the man. Yeah. But it really had a good curve in it. And again, it teaches for me, never listen to one side of the story. Right.
Always three sides. His, hers, and the truth.
Oh, Teddy said not two, 3 sides. His, hers, and the truth.
But you always have a tendency, if it's your girlfriend or, you know, a family member, yep. You have a tendency to think.
Try to take sides.
To take their side.
Uh-huh.
And
True.
what I learned from the movie is, like you said, there's always 3 sides. His, hers, and the truth.
Yep.
But that we have to really pay attention to ourselves and the self-talk, like all that's going on in our head.
Ooh,
we have to pay attention to that because she was dead wrong.
Yeah.
She was dead wrong the whole time. And the whole movie, I watched the whole movie the first time saying, you know, the whole movie theater was like, oh my God, he did that to her. You know, it was just crazy.
I think he was deceased.
Who was?
Someone said that Melinda mentioned she got the anger from her father, but the whole time the father was silent.
Yeah, we never
I think he was deceased or he left the mother and he just wasn't in their life.
I don't even think we really saw too much of the mother.
No, she was in college and died while she was in college. Yeah.
But I mean,
that was the worst part. That's why I left that. That was the part of the movie where the cheese slid off the bread, as Leah would say. How they threw her off the boat and then she shows back. Well, you know them bipolar people. You can't negotiate with crazy. That girl probably walked on water. Jesus been trying to get people to walk on water, but that crazy will walk on water. The adrenaline.
Yes.
But I think,
got you, Vanetta.
I just think her anger just controlled her to the point of no return. There was no turning back for her.
But remember, her anger wasn't our anger.
Yeah.
She was bipolar.
It was a different type.
The personality disorder, they said. Yep.
But I know the movie for me, it just made you look at stuff in a different
Come
way.
on.
Especially with him in his dream. If you haven't been with somebody that's a dreamer, you don't really understand.
No.
So then you're looking at the movie like, oh, she's stupid.
Yep.
She with this guy and she's paying for
she's getting used.
Yeah, she's getting used. But then when you look at it, now you see that this was a dude that really loved her and he was really trying to make something that he thought work for the both of them.
And he believed in it enough for the both of them. He didn't even need her to believe in it. Just stick by my side. But honestly speaking, I honestly think I would have got tired and probably kind of tagged out too.
Yeah.
So how do you know when to stay in or not? Do you just have to make a conscious decision and decide right there? If he blow up, girl, this the risk you take it with door number 2.
But even with
or
that,
you could stay in it and think it's gonna happen, or get out of it and lose an opportunity.
Even with that, when he made it, he went to her and he gave her. A rational person would have said, "I got $10 million. I ain't got to
deal with you.
I got my family home back. Like I can go now and do whatever I need to do for me.
Yes.
But because of the bipolar, because of the personality, she couldn't grasp the fact that you are a wealthy woman.
Yeah.
You could do whatever you want. You don't even have to look at this dude ever again. You can take your stuff and move somewhere else and get a new relationship.
And Diana knew how much he gave her, and Diana doesn't show. So I think it would have been part of it. Didn't even tell him, you ain't giving her that much. $350,000 was the money. The house was probably worth $300,000. We just go round that off to $1 million. $10 million. She was set for her life. But you see how you can't rationalize with crazy? Yeah. Because he gave her so much more. Yeah. And then she wanted his soul. She wanted him. But because she felt she lost hers.
That's true.
So how would y'all deal with it? How would y'all deal with it online? Huh?
I think she did lose herself because it was mentioned earlier she didn't really have an identity. So she was so caught up in him that she didn't know what she wanted. Like you said, she only wanted, her goal was just to have the 2 kids and there was nothing else. Yeah. So when you don't have an identity, when you, like for me, like when I was with my son's father, I was with him for a long time. Yeah. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't have an identity. It wasn't until I came into Christ that I knew who I was or found out the things that I liked because I had been with him for so long.
Absolutely.
Because when people saw me, they said, "Oh, that's so-and-so girlfriend."
Yep.
They didn't know my name or who I was or who what I was. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they know the person. They know you by the person. That's how you identify by somebody else. But when you're, you know, when you know Christ, then Christ gives you an identity.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
and then sometimes those people can't grow with you because once you have grown, they can't accept this change.
So,
you know, you got a self-esteem now. You know, you have independent thinking. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not so needy of me now. So now your former insecurity has now caused him to feel insecure. Because who are you? Why have you changed? So you're exactly right. 1000%. Mishi?
Well, just to piggyback off of what she said, like she didn't have the identity or she was known as so-and-so's girl. Yeah. I mean, I know even for myself, I was known as so-and-so's baby mom. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know if people knew my name or whatever, but you just have to really get your own identity, get your own, like, find yourself even in this movie. You may not be her, but there are some traits that Melinda had that it may be you.
Come on.
And those are the things that we have to work on and work out before you get into another relationship, before you get married to somebody. This is what you have to find out.
And red flags too to pay attention to. And like I said, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily out, but we need to pay attention to some of these things. Are you going to commit to his dream? I wonder if it might not have been that bad for Melinda if it was someone else he was with. Yeah, that's a good point too. That's a very good point too, because you know, because she did call that lady some names, boy, and I think it was because this was the one that was there when I lost the baby. When we were all just kind of like trying to figure life out, and now you're gonna show me your belly now. So that's a very good point. That probably really just boosted things up beyond crazy.
Yeah, that was a dagger.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any feedback from our live audience before we shut down for the night? It was my pleasure doing this. I love it because of this movie. Go ahead. What do you say?
Vanetta said that even one of the sisters said, we ain't never seen that much money. So the sisters were even...
Thank you.
They were aware that you came out, you came off. What are you worried about?
Very good, Tamara. You're right. She says in the beginning she was dead right, but at the end of the movie she was dead wrong. That's a good way to point it out.
I had a question. Was she a people pleaser?
Why do you say that? People pleaser how?
Because she was trying to do what everybody else said that she should do.
Yep, and you know why I would say that's a good point, and I'm pretty positive, is because most people who don't have their own identity live to please people. I was watching Shark Tank tonight before y'all came, and they had a guy on there, and he was selling almond water, and then he was making coconut water, and he was saying how they asked him, why did you change it so many times? He said, well, when a customer, you know, people who are tasters, when my tasters say it's too much sugar, I change the sugar. When somebody don't like the label, I change the label. And they told him, we are never going to invest in you because you need to tell us what we need. You don't want a consumer telling you what your brand should be. We don't know the vision that you have. So nobody would buy into his brand, even though he was in Whole Foods. They would not buy into his brand because they said he was too much pleasing to the consumer. So you're exactly right. And they liked his water, but they wouldn't get involved in it because they didn't feel he was stable enough to be in that position he was in.
Wow.
So absolutely, when you don't have your own identity, you will definitely begin to people please. Anyone else? Are there any statements out there? Anyone mistaken? Periscope, we just neglected y'all tonight. We're so sorry. If you make a statement up there, I'm looking right now before we close down for the night. How long have we been up? Does it show the time?
You've been up for a while, I think.
How long? I was trying to talk fast.
29 minutes.
Yeah, that's the longest I've ever done one. But that was a long movie. Okay, Mama. Reality check. Yep. So pay attention to the red flags, y'all. And don't avoid everything thinking love is going to be really the answer. Thank you, Wendy Epps. She says this was deep. Didn't even feel like that. It was that long. Yeah, I could be a part 2 to that movie. It was good for me to talk about it. No. I'm reading your comment, Cheryl Wilberg, and no, that's not the definition of a dreamer. I'm going to do a lesson on a dreamer, and I'll explain it into detail. That looks like maybe something from the dictionary. But there's professional terminology for dreamers. And dreamers are people just like the guy in this movie where he was, they're not really too much in touch with reality. They live by their dreams. They're convicted by their dreams. They're bought into their dreams. And sometimes they're compared to or also referred to as visionaries. But they're extreme visionaries. It's beyond just someone having a vision. And there's a book out if y'all want to go and look for it. It's an old book. I hope it's still in stock by Ron Elmore, Dr. Ron Elmore. And I'll be repurchasing it again and doing a teaching on it. But it talks about 4 different personality types. So the dreamer is a type of personality. And it talks about how basically the type of women that are attracted to them and how if you don't know the type of personality of the man that you're dating, you will lose a good man or possibly destroy his dream because you don't understand that as a dreamer, this is the way their personality functions. I forget the other ones that it is, but sure, we'll be talking anyway, so I'll tell you about it. But it's personality types. Anyone else? Thank you. Latanya said, awesome. Yeah, that's the book right there. It's called How to Love a Black Man by Ron Elmore. And it's really, it's worth the read. I'm going to see if I can look at it real quick. Y'all texting all over my phone. Told her to stop. Yeah, I'm on a broadcast. Let's see. Well, anyway, I told you the name. You can look it up. I just want to tell you the table of contents so y'all can see what the book is about. But I'll be doing a lesson on it. Go ahead, Tangi.
I was just going to say to the people watching, don't give up on your dreams. So don't let anybody hinder you. I know for me, well, I'm going to speak for me personally.
Please.
I had a dream when I was younger. Like you said, if anybody hinder you from doing something, my dream was to go to college. I had my mindset that I was going to be a doctor, but because I got into a relationship, that dream never happened. So don't let anybody hinder you from whatever your purpose is, whatever your desire is.
Yes, absolutely. Some of the other personality types, they're pleasers, they're controllers, they're rescuers, they're avoiders, and they're bashers. And those are all personality types, Cheryl, that we're talking about. And we'll teach more about it so you'll get a deeper understanding. It's not just the dictionary definition. It's a psychological definition of a dreamer. Vonetta said, yes, Audrey Holly. That's right. Anyone else? Our hearts and minds clear. We're going to get ready to shut down. Y'all good?
Well, I think, last thing I'd like to say is
go.
get somebody in your life who is unbiased. Get somebody that's going to press purpose into you. Somebody that believes in you and is going to press you and encourage you to have a dream, have a purpose. Because even if your self-esteem is low and you don't have a vision as of yet, if you get somebody who can encourage you, you can find your purpose and you can go for your dream.
Absolutely. And like, I don't know who said it earlier, but I don't know if it was Vonetta or whoever just popped that up on the screen. But just know who you're dating so that you can be the best partner for them. Yeah. And if you're not aware of who you're dating, you may be the actual one that loses the blessing before it comes because you didn't even know what you signed up for.
Exactly.
And no one wants to feel as though they held back anyone's dreams. But like I said, he fulfilled everything he wanted to do. Right. How do you know when enough is enough? Yeah. Deja, the answer to that is, it's a personal decision that you have to make in anything, in any relationship. But here's the key. You're going to have to weigh it out, measure the facts. You're going to say, what if he never makes it? How long am I going to stay caught up in his dream? Well, nobody's working. We don't have any income. He's losing contracts. Am I willing to commit to this to the rest of my life? And then the second column you need to make is, what if he hits? And I check out right before he hits. Am I happy enough with my decision that I can leave him and be okay if he hits? Those are the only choices you can make because that's life. You never know if somebody's going to make it or not. That's life. So you have to make a personal, conscious decision with yourself. Plan A or plan B. And can I live if he hits it rich and marries the girl who I want to beat up in college? Can I handle it? And absolutely, Carla, counseling is necessary. Coaching helps you eliminate a lot of these early bailout decisions and the Holy Spirit, But all I'm going to say is he would be exhausting to me. I don't know if I would have been able to deal with all of that. That's taxing emotionally. And because she already had an emotional instability, I can't even imagine how far left it took her.
Well, you can tell from the end of the movie.
Well, yes, Delia said yes, Apostle. Very good. So that's it again. We're talking about personality and not dictionary definitions. So it's a lot different than just looking up a personality in the dictionary. But I'll teach it so y'all get it. Married and I believe until death do us part. You go ahead. Bless the Lord for that testimony. Come on. But this is some good stuff that you did post down here, Cheryl. She says, a person who dreams or is dreaming, a person who is unpractical or idealistic, a rebellious young dreamer, that would be him. Synonyms, daydreamer, romantic, sentimental, idealist, wishful thinker. Yeah, that could be all part of their personality. I would put that on the personality. But his dream came to play, so marriage for purpose versus marriage for love. Wow. Probably both, right? Personality type versus...
Crystal said, I heard a couple say, would you marry you?
And well, hopefully not. Because remember, Crystal, I taught y'all before, if two people are exactly the same in a relationship, in any kind of relationship, whether it be business or not, one of them is not needed. All right, I guess we're going to sign out tonight. Y'all good? Most of us don't have to work tomorrow, so y'all can hang in there and do a little extra detox. And we haven't had a detox in probably a month or so, so come on, we owed each other this time. Your time is important. So hopefully I'll put some credit back on your cards. Well, I love you. I bless you tonight. I pray that you were inspired. I pray that nothing came across as negative, but just some real life issues to think about. And, you know, pay attention to red flags. Find people that you can talk to and just say, you know, I'm not sure what to make of her, but she's like this or he's like that, or you know, he makes these statements. Does this mean anything? The fact that he says he gets in his own mind when he's working on his invention, is that going to affect me in the long term? You've got to pay attention to these things and stop being so, what they call them, eyes? Like when you're in love with somebody, you got those dreamy eyes, googly eyes. You got those googly eyes that you can't even pay attention to words that were said. Well, hashtag replay. I bless y'all tonight. I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. God bless you. Happy Labor Day. And prayerfully, I'll be back on this week. But I know that I owe y'all familiar spirits. And I also have a good one that's going to be coming up. Let me see if I can find it. I'll put it on the screen before I go out. See if it came up there. There it goes. Should be up there now. Do y'all see it? That is what we're going to be working on. This one right here is going to amaze us about sex and the soul. It is way more than we've actually googly eyed. It's way more than we've ever paid attention to. Sex and the soul of a woman. It's not just going to be for women, but I really want to encourage women to get in. If they've been heartbroken, downcast, crushed in spirit, relapsing, rebounding, divorce, remarrying, you definitely want to be on here again. Single, living single, because I'm going to really show you how important sex and the soul really is to one another. So God bless you tonight. Hope to see you on Pass the Word. Inbox someone on this discussion and start a discussion with your girls and just see what you come up with. It's good to have these talks. It grows all of us and it pushes us all towards personal development. So God bless you. I love you all. Thank you for being on tonight.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, that's just Periscope. Oh. God bless you too, Sharon. Thank you for being on. Bianca, thank you. Deliverance is necessary. That's right, Carla. Good night, Angela.
This Facebook one.
Yeah, Facebook's still going. Good night, Priscilla. Love y'all too. Thank you for being on. What a good pre-Labor Day soul session. Love you too, Tanya. Good talk, good teacher. Thank you, Rita. Disconnected. Now just hold on, because before I did it, and this thing still kept going. Ooh, this thing's hot.
You still on, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know, is it? I don't see no hearts or anything going up.